Hello everyone! Today I'm at PINHEY'S Point Historic Site, which is in Dunrobin, Ontario, which is actually just on the western edge of Ottawa, Ontario. So this is a hidden gem historic site, and I'm going to take you on a tour. So let's go check it out. Welcome to Horaceville. This was the country estate of the Honourable Hamnet Pinhey, a London importer who in 1820 retired to Canada at 35 to become a landed gentleman. The small stream, sheltered bay, and riverfront location made this attractive spot an ideal place to settle. The great house, named for Pinhey's eldest son, Horace, dominates the landscape just as Pinhey dominated local society. Visitors are invited to explore PINHEY'S Point Historic Site and the story behind this gentleman settler and his family who occupied Horaceville until 1971. And here is a map of what we're going to explore today. And so I am here, and there are washrooms, and then this is the main house. And then we will go for a stroll down to see the Ottawa River. All right, let's go check it out. Yes, I'll just point out museum hours are Wednesday to Sunday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. You come across this cute little bridge. So, Hamnet Kirk's Pinhey, 1784 to 1857. A merchant and shipowner in his native England, Pinhey came to Upper Canada in 1820 for his services as King's messenger during the Napoleonic Wars. He received a 1,000-acre land grant on the Ottawa River. Within a decade, he had built up an estate which he named Horaceville after his elder son. In addition to a manor house and barns, it includes mills, a store, and a church. Pinhey took a leading part in township and district affairs. He was appointed to the Legislative Council in 1847, served as warden of the Dalhousie district, and as the first warden of Carleton County. Horaceville remained in family hands until 1959 when it was purchased by the National Capital Commission. All right, let's go explore this historic site. Okay, so just so you know, on the left there are washrooms on site, just in case you need them. And you can see that we are right on the Ottawa River with a beautiful view of the Gatineau Hills. And here is the house that we're going to explore. It's really peaceful here in the summer with the birds chirping. All right, so First thing we're going to look at is the stone kitchen. The stone kitchen was built with the original house in 1820. They were connected by a wooden passage. The passage most likely functioned as a pantry or possibly an indoor privy. The stone kitchen was enlarged in preparation for Hamnet's son Horace and his new wife Kate taking possession in 1847. A plate rack, cupboards, and a floor bin were added, as well as steam box and boiler. In 1978, the building was dismantled for safety reasons. The stone kitchen ruins have been stabilized and the fireplace was restored. So here's a picture of what it used to look like. And this is what it looks like now. So the fireplace still remains. And you can see how close it was to the house. And you will see in a minute that the main floor, the back of the house is where the kitchen was. And I'll show it to you later. So you can see that they can come out this door here. All right, let's explore the next feature. All right, so the terrace garden. Hamnet Pinhey's diaries record a front garden and an old garden as early as 1822. Mary Ann Pinhey's print dating to 1837 shows a series of terraces running the length of the first two sections of the house. The terrace walls have been partially reconstructed. From the diaries, it is known that a variety of produce and flowers were grown in the same beds. Examples include asparagus, bean, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, celery, lupins, melon, onions, parsley, poppies, potatoes, radishes, savory, sweet william, sunflower, turnips, and wallflower. Okay, and here is the image. Okay, so this is the house and the gardens, and then you will see that this is where the gardens were. Right, so the log cabin. When Hamnet Pinhey arrived in March Township in 1820, he and his clerk Henry Edwards built a log cabin. Whether it was this one remains unclear. A map dated 1821 suggests that this was one of 4 cabins aligned along a roadway leading to the interior, probably housing workers employed by Pinhey. In the 20th century, the cabin was most likely used as a tool shed. Okay, so this is a picture, log cabin, 1925. You can see here there is ruins of a stone fireplace. Right. So now you got a good view of what the front of the house looks like facing the Ottawa River. So, the original house. All that remains of the original one and a half-story house are the foundations and part of the stone kitchen. In 1820, Pinney began construction of a nice, tasty cottage with veranda. The white pine and cedar log cottage was built on a quarried stone foundation. The logs were covered with clapboard and the veranda ran along the front of the cottage. The upper story originally had 3 dormer windows. During the early 1970s, the cottage was dismantled in the interest of safety. So here's a picture. Original house, 1941. Okay, we're going to continue to explore what's on the outside before we look at the inside. It was a very large house. And this is the incredible view they had of the Ottawa River and Gatineau Hills. There's more historical ruins here that I can't show you because they're under construction, but there is some information I can read to you. Okay, so the Ash House, saving the remains. The City of Ottawa is addressing the damage to the Ash House so it can be appreciated for future generations. These ruins, remnants of the Ash House, date back as early as the 1850s, a rare surviving example of a heritage farming structure from the 19th century. This building is physical evidence of the pioneering agriculture and business techniques of the region's early colonial settlers. Okay, so here you can see a picture. So this structure was once used to store ashes from stoves and burning scrap timber. Ash was a major export from Upper Canada due to its usefulness in producing things like fertilizer, glass, and soap. The Ash House was used for this practical purpose up until the 20th century. Okay. You can see another view of the house. Horaceville. Hamnet Pinney named his estate Horaceville in honor of the eldest son who would inherit it. The house was built in 4 stages, from north to south of the original 1820s house. Only the foundation and parts of the stone kitchen wing remain. The stone parlor was added in 1822 to 1825. The central wing with entrance hall was constructed between 1841 to 43, and the final addition was completed in 1848. The construction joins are visible in the masonry. The original house was a 1.5-story clapboard cottage. It evoked British Regency architecture, but the gentle curve of the roof over the veranda revealed the French-Canadian origin of its builders. The later wings aimed at Georgian symmetry, but their addition to the original cottage defeated the overall intent. In the completed facade, the entry was flanked by louvered false entrances, painted green as they are now. And on the side, there's a little gate to the back gardens. Can't go in here, but there was a door to a cellar underneath. Okay, we're now going to go take a look at there's like a barn over here. Fortunately, can't go inside it, but there is another information card over here. Right. So, the barn and stable. A print by Mary Ann Pinney dated from 1837 indicates the presence of a stable or barn in this area. The present stable is likely a late 19th century addition. The exterior is clad with vertical board and batten, but the structure is of timber frame infilled with brick. This was unusual construction technique in eastern Ontario. The stone barn dates from the 19th century as well. So again, the picture from 1837. So the barn here, this was the house. We had just explored this, and this is where the gardens were. Okay, I'll just show you what the back of the house looks like, and then I'll go inside. So here, I'll go inside, but this is what the door looks like of the barn. All right, we are now going to go inside. So this is a model of Horaceville. This model was built with the intention to show how this estate named Horaceville after the Penny's eldest son Horace looked in 1857. Ongoing research continues to reveal more about its appearance and use over time. What brings us to Penny's Point Historic Site? For centuries, people have been drawn to this place. It has evolved physically and socially, shaped by the many stories of those who have lived, worked, and gathered here. Nestled along the Ottawa River, this land was likely a stop for many different Indigenous groups, including the peoples of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation, long before it became home to generations of the Pinney family. Over time, people have interacted with the site in many ways, relying on its natural resources, building livelihoods, seeking to social status, and creating personal space for home and recreation. Today, Penny's Point is a shared public space valued for its natural beauty and preserved history. Case with shipping information. When Hamnet K. Pinney brought his family from England in 1821, he shipped 75 crates aboard the sailing vessel Barbara. Inside were clothes, sheet music, plates, jewelry, and furniture, objects to bring comfort and status to his family's new home. A torn shipping label still visible on this crate bears his name and destination, a trace of care taken before the journey across the world. What are you carrying in your baggage? Moving to a new place offers a chance to shape a new life. The things we choose to bring, whether belongings, traditions, or values, often reflect our priorities and hopes for the future. In 1820, Hamnet K. Pinney left his life as a merchant to move across the world with his family. He dreamed of a rural estate that offered both status and influence. At 35, he set out to reinvent himself as a country gentleman. Some of Hamnet's packing choices might seem impractical for rural life, but these valuable belongings reflect his grand aspirations. They show confident assertions of status and luxury, a lifestyle he could never attain as a merchant in England. Okay, so here it says he brought a glass tea caddy, a silver toast rack, and a silver coffee teapot with warming stand. Imagine you have limited space to carry things with you on a big move. Again, what would you bring that matters most to you? This room is set up as a temporary exhibition, testing space to share thoughts, stories, and experiences using different styles of exhibition displays. We want to know how you best engage with the museum as we transform the site over time. And they want you and me to provide feedback at the red feedback stations. Lift the dish covers to discover some of the historic roles within the local area. Let's see. Oh, shoemaker. A sawmill worker. A naval officer's wife. A doctor. So who is at your table? Hamlet and his wife Mary Ann built a grand parlor to host parties, to show off their accomplishments, and to secure their place with the upper levels of society. But there were clear boundaries, and not all residents of the Marsh Township would be invited. The privileged riverfront settlers and inland farmers ran in different social circles, divided by class and opportunity. Despite their differences, both groups contributed to make lasting marks on the region. So here's one of the red boxes to provide feedback. Bunch of historical photos. If chairs could talk, a chair is more than just a place to sit. It can represent moments of comfort, work, solitude, or gathering. Its style, shape, and materials offer clues about the people who used it and the times they lived. These three family chairs, selected from many in the Pinhey Point Foundation collection, span generations and reflect the changing lifestyles at Pinhey's Point. The wingback chair. This wingback chair was favored by Mary Ann Pinhey, the first matron of the house. Its high profile protected her from cold drafts, while its elegant style showcased refinement. It remained in the house for many years, a prompt for stories about Mary Pinhey. The child's high chair. This high chair, used by the third and fourth generation children of Horaceville, marks the end of an era. After this period, the house no longer accommodated families with children. And the Dunrobin Gold Medal Cheese Factory cheese box stool. By the 1900s, money was scarce for the last generation. Furniture at the house was often repurposed. Ruby Pinhey made this stool out of a box from the local cheese factory. Stool, high chair. in the wingback chair. Pantry. This door leads to the pantry. It is lined on one side with closed shelving and has a plate safe in the rear stone wall. Door there. Tea cart. So this handsome wooden wicker tea trolley has returned to Horarsville after an absence for many years. Donor Betty Ann Cohen, the great-great-granddaughter of Hamnet Kirk's Pinney II and his wife Eleanor Maud Hallowell, used to see it when she visited the house as a child in the 1950s. The trolley came down to Betty Ann through her mother's family. Her grandmother was Dorothy Tide Schnellgrove, and the last member of the Pinney family to live in the main house at Horarsville. Library dining room. Completed in 1849, this room was used first as a library or study and later as a dining room. Although it is not as large or elegant as the dining room on the half landing, this room would have been much more convenient to use. The pantry behind it provided easy access via the back hall to the new kitchen at the back of the house. The wallpaper in this room comes from Montreal and dates to 1900 to 1935. The gold flecks on it are hand painted. The linoleum flooring dates to a similar period. Artificial graining has been used to enhance the pine doors and woodwork throughout this part of the house. Okay, so this is the wallpaper and the floor. And the wallpaper. Oh, there's an incredible piano. So it says the rocking chair. Juanita Schnellgrove, great-great-granddaughter of Hamnet Pinney, remembered this chair sitting by the fireplace in Wolfenden, the home of her grandfather, artist John Charles Pinney in Hudson Heights, Quebec. This style of chair of quarter saw oak with carved scene on the back is believed to have originated in Germany's Black Forest in the early 1900s. While this scene appears to depict a knight and his squire, monks were a common motif. This chair was rescued from a fire that burnt Wolfenden in 1922. It eventually came into possession of Margaret, also a granddaughter of the artist, and has come to the Pinney's Point Foundation through her estate. magic lantern and slides. The magic lantern could be considered the forerunner of the modern slide projector and even the cinema. At 17th century invention, lanterns brought together three essential elements: a source of light, transparent picture painted on glass, and a lens to focus the image on a screen. However, it was not until the mass production of photographic glass slides in the 1870s, with limelight as a source of illumination, that the magic lantern show became a popular form of public entertainment. Subjects could be educational, humorous, social messages, or sentimental stories. Music, sound effects, audience participation, or a reading would accompany the slides. Film began to replace glass for projection purposes, and the magic lantern fell out of fashion after World War I. It's a portrait of Horace Pinney. So this is Horace Pinney, and this is Catherine Tide Pinney. Right, now we're in the back. We are in the back of the house where the kitchen was. All kinds of interesting artifacts in here. Ma's kitchen. Mary Ann Pinney was completed in 1842. Its bedrock floor, stone fireplace, and hand-hewn ceiling beams were revealed when 20th century woodwork was removed in the 1990s restoration. The original cross passage between the two exterior doors were reinstated during restoration. A dough box. The dough box acted as a trough for mixing and storing red dough. Kneaded the dough was placed in the box, covered, and left to rise overnight by the warmth of the hearth or stove. In the morning, the dough would be ready to make into loaves. This lid serves several purposes: to keep the dough warm, thus ensuring a successful rinsing, to keep flies away, and to provide a surface when inverted for kneading the dough. And that is a benchtop meat grinder. This was a cheese box. This type of cheese box was used by Eastern Ontario cheese factories to ship large rounds of cheese by rail. The sides were typically made of soft elm wood, steamed, molded, and nailed into a cylinder. The stenciling on this box for an 80-pound cheese suggested it was associated with the McBride Dairy Farm in West Meath Township, northeast of Cobden, where there were several cheese factories in the 1890s to 1920s. Milk to make these cheese came from the local farmers, brought to the factory in large milk cans by horse and wagon. Some cheese boxes in that area were made by Ed Davis of Golden Lake, locally a cheese factory in the village of Dunrobin, closed in 1952. So this is a butter churn. The PINHEY'S 19th century farm accounts indicate the family made and sold butter. How was butter made? A pan of fresh milk was left in a cool place for the cream to rise to the top. The cream was skimmed off and poured into a churn. Churning was hard work, as the dash handle had to be plunged vigorously to agitate the cream. The fat globules would clump together to form lumps of butter and leave a liquid called buttermilk. When the butter was removed with small wooden paddles, it was rinsed with cold water, worked with the paddles into a large wooden bowl to drain an excess liquid, and salted for flavor and preservation. It would be stored in a wooden box or a lidded crock. So that is a butter churn. Okay, and this is a picture. So, a walking wheel stored away in the attic at Horseville was, for many years, this walking wheel was used in the 19th century for creating yarn from wool fiber. This type of spinning wheel was also known as a great wheel, high wheel, big wheel. They were in use with the earliest European settlers in part of Canada, including Ontario and the Ottawa Valley, southeastern Quebec, the Maritimes, and Newfoundland. The large drive wheel would have been connected by a pulley system to a small spindle wheel, now missing, set between these small upright spindles, supports, which in turn was connected by a pulley cord to the spindle. Each revolution of the large wheel caused many revolutions of the smaller wheel, and in turn multiplied the revolutions of the spindle. Part of a campaign case, 1800 to 1820, marketed initially for military officers and their families, collapsible furniture became popular with travelers and the wealthier class of immigrants because it combined elegance and portability. This bookcase with movable shelving once had a twin half that hinged closed to form a portable chest. Glazed doors or brass grills were common features. When opened, they resembled normal bookcases. Watch for another example of campaign furniture upstairs. Tons more information up here. Meet the Monk family. Captain J.B. Monk was Penny's neighbor to the north. Saber with scabbard. The blade is etched blue and gilded. This saber was said to have belonged to Captain John Benning Monk. Monk, born in Nova Scotia in 1794, was Hammett Penny's neighbor, immediately north of Horaceville. The makers of the saber, Osborne and Gunny, had a shop on the Pall Mall, London, England, from 1805 to 1811. So here it is. Ma's dining room. It is probable, though, that this room, part of the central wing completed in 1842, was originally a dining room. This may seem an impractical location, being directly above the kitchen and at the top of the stairs, but there is nowhere on the ground floor that it could have been. So this room may have been the dining room at one point. That's the artwork that you see on all the information placards that we looked at outside. You can come here and read all of this. Okay. So, the traveling apothecary kit. Campaign furniture was elegant, compact, often collapsible, designed to provide the refinements of home for gentlemen officers in the field or at sea. Its ease of transport also appealed to gentlemen immigrants. Penny brought out several pieces, including this medical item, an apothecary's traveling compendium. The mahogany case enclosed a mortar and pestle, graduated beaker, and set of scales for preparing medicines, and stopper jars of blown glass, and a portable writing desk from 1804 to 1812. Penny brought to Canada this portable mahogany writing desk, the laptop of its day. Interesting. There is a maker's label for Sharp at 56 Cornhill, London. W. Sharp made portable writing desks at this address from 1804 to 1812. His shop was a half-kilometre from Penny's residence at 3 New London Street, not far from the Tower of London. The hinged lid opened to a blue velvet writing slope with various compartments and inkwell slots, a side drawer, and brass swan neck handles. I'll just show it to you one last time. upstairs. So here is an interesting map of map of the county of Carleton, Canada West from 1863. That's actually quite fascinating. Okay. So now we are in the master bedroom. It has incredible views, again, of the Ottawa River. This says, this room was part of the central wing, 1841 to 42, and likely served as Hamnet Pinhey's bedroom. Note the view of the river and the openings in the walls for stovepipes. Mr. Pinhey's diaries indicate a wood stove located in this area. Many items in the house have been donated to the Pinhey Point Foundation by descendants of the Monk and Berry families. The Pinheys, Berries, and Monks were neighbors along the Ottawa River. The bed and vanity in this room came from Marchmount, the Berry home. The large portrait to the left of the bed is of G.W. Monk, MLA for Carleton County, 1871 to 1894, and founder of the Monk Rural Telephone Company. He was a son of Captain John Benning Monk, one of the first settlers of March Township. So there's so this chair was given by Mabel or Ruth Pinhey to neighbor Miss Wilhelmina in thanks for all the driving she did in taking turkeys the Pinhey family raised to the Bauer Market in Ottawa. This chair was reupholstered by the Sweeneys. It has been returned to the house as a donation. There's all kinds of interesting things in here. An oil lamp, a tray for candle snuffer, match safe, a candle mold. Oh, interesting. Never seen that before. A candle mold. And in the back, a student lamp. So shining a light on the past for successive generations of the Pinhey family lived in Horaceville over a span of a century and a half from its original clapboard covered log house built in 1820 to the great stone house constructed in 3 stages between 1822 to 1849 and occupied until 1971. Electrical service did not come to this rural area of March Township until the mid-1950s. Prior to that time, the family home was heated largely by stoves and lit by candles, oil or kerosene lamps, and firelight. lanterns would have been used out of doors and in barns and outbuildings. This sampling of lighting devices and accessories includes representative examples from the late 19th and early 20th century. Carved inscriptions reveal this acrobat as a Christmas gift to Dorothy Pinney in 1907 when she was 12. Trapeze toys have long been a popular form of inexpensive action figures. Squeezing together the wooden bars tightens the string and causes the acrobat to turn somersaults. A child's campaign canopy bed. Marketed initially for military officers and their families, collapsible furniture became popular with travelers and the wealthier class of immigrants because it combined elegance and portability. In this bed of Honduran mahogany, the posts pull out and the canopy is hinged at the top. Removable slats support the mattress and the frame is bolted together. Watch for another example of camping furniture in the kitchen, which we already saw. So, heating the house. Lola Pinney house had fireplaces in the kitchen and drawing room, wood burning stoves, and in time other heating devices provided much of the heat. Each fall, the cast iron stoves and connecting pipes were brought out of storage and cleaned. The stoves polished with blacking to prevent rust and put in place. Female servants cleaned and lit the stoves each morning. In the 1870s, Horace began to do that himself. So this is a cast iron wood burning Quebec heater, 1880 to 1920. Brief history of bathing practices. Throughout history, the custom of bathing has come in and out of vogue. Ancient civilizations believed bathing to be important, and public baths were a place for conducting business and socializing rather than for cleansing the body. The Romans spread public baths and their rituals throughout their empire. However, the early Christian leaders saw the practice as sinful and encouraged dirtiness, teaching that it was an indication of holiness. For many, the only water to touch their skin was that used in their baptism. In early 19th century, the emerging middle classes began to realize that frequent washing was a good practice. At this time, soap and baths became widely available and affordable. Advances in technology brought to those who could afford it the ability to pipe water into the home. The tub no longer had to be brought in front of the fire and fill one bucket at a time. Later, the use of gas to heat the water brought a new comfort. These innovations did not come to rural Upper Canada, where the portable hip bath was still in general use until the end of the 19th century. These tubs were filled and emptied from a handheld jug or pail. Most people avoided regular bathing because it was simply too much work. Wow, interesting. So, here is a tin bathtub from 1870 to 1900. Probably hard to tell on camera, but it is quite small. Here's a nice historic dress. Humpty Dumpty circus toys. Shown huts. Sorry for the pronunciation. Humpty Dumpty Circus. The Humpty Dumpty Circus made the A. Shown Hut firm of Philadelphia the largest toy manufacturer in the world. Albert Shohut was recruited from Germany to repair toy pianos for Wanamaker department store in 1872. He opened his own factory, expanding into dolls and doll furniture. In 1902, he purchased the patent rights to a jointed clown, and in 1903 made it the first piece in his Humpty Dumpty circus. The starter kit consisted of clown, ladder, chair, elephant, and barrel. The barrel is missing. Okay, so there you go. That's the clown, the elephant. Okay, so this was the sitting room nursery, part of 1822-1825 edition. These rooms connected to the original log house via a once open stairway at the far end of the sitting room. The Pinhey family employed 4 domestic servants. They probably used the 3 small bedrooms in this wing. The large room may have been a nursery schoolroom for the Pinhey children, as well as a sitting room for the servants. Stairs led to the attic. In this wing, the attic walls were finished and whitewashed, and the room lit by a dormer window. The roof beams are pinned together with wooden pegs. That's a picture of, you can see it, that's a picture of Ruby Valentine Pinhey, 1916 to 1918. Yeah, for the love of lace. So, on the left is a yoke for slip or nightgown. On the right is a bandeau. Okay, so this is a yoke for slip or nightgown. And at the back there is a bandeau. These delicate lace items were purchased in London by nursing sister Ruby Valentine Pinhey. While stationed in England for the First World War, the Swan and Edgar department store price tag is still attached to the yoke. A bandeau is used to keep a woman's hair tidy while she slept and in the morning until she had time to attend to her toilette. The bandeau and yoke were likely purchased as part of Ruby's trousseau, but She never married. Ruby, 1887 to 1967, grew up in this house and returned here after the war. She moved to her own small farm in Carp in 1935. All right, there's one last thing I could show you that is in this house. This is kind of interesting. The Sanctum Sanctorium, the second floor privy. Pliny referred to the indoor privy as his Sanctum Sanctorium, a Latin pun meaning Holy of Holies. The unusual indoor privy was included on the second floor of the final wing built in 1848 to 49. The small room was fitted with wainscoting, a window, and a shelf to place a candle, though one hole necessary was flushed manually through piping that led to the cellar. During the winter, this pipe would often freeze and need to be cleared. So this is a schematic of it. And this is what bathrooms used to look like. So it was literally so the rich. I won't get too close, but the kind of the original toilets to have in your house. This is what it would look like. So this toilet was an unusual second floor amenity when it was constructed here in 1849. It operated on the same principle as an outhouse. The wooden seat cover exposed a china bowl that led into a long pipe, which in turn carried refuse to a pit under the house. All right, now this was kind of fascinating to me. We had kind of this private wing for your bathroom in the late 1800s. All right, so now we're going to go check out the Ottawa River. It's the last stop. So, when you come visit, don't miss this section on the side. Some people like to come here and just sit by the water, have a picnic. It's a really peaceful spot. And just a really nice hidden gem that a lot of people don't know about. Okay, so as you can see, there are multiple benches and picnic tables over here. And then straight ahead, there is a play structure for kids. Just show that to you first. This is really nice play structure for the kids. And there's benches there parents can sit. Okay. And then again we got the Ottawa River. With a view across the river is the Gatineau Hills. And there is a nice dock down there. So we'll go check that out. Just want to read you one last informational placard over here. And then we'll go to the dock. Okay, so the Ottawa or Grand River was the primary transportation route for the riverfront settlers of March Township. When Hammett Pinney canoed upward in 1820, he was searching for a place to settle. A warbling brook attracted his attention to this site. It inspired dreams of an estate with both saw and gristmill. Pinney settled on the unsurveyed land and in 1832 received official title to the property. The house faces the Ottawa River, demonstrating that the property was originally approached from the river rather than from the interior. Pinney's Point was and remains a popular recreational sailing destination. In this photo, Edwin Britton and other members of the Britannia Boating Club posed aboard the yacht Nushka in 1905. The complex of Pinney's farm buildings atop the hill has long vanished, but the foundation of the barn was excavated several years ago and then reburied. Okay, let's go down to the water. So there's more picnic tables down here, or you can bring your own chairs to come sit by the water. Oh, and if you can see, there's a bunch of ducks. So this is the view. It's so nice. There's no beach, but it's still a really nice spot by the water that you can enjoy. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this tour of the hidden gem Pinney's Point historic site, which is located in Dunrobin, Ontario, which is just on the western outskirts of Ottawa, Ontario. If you enjoy content about things to do in Canada, you can subscribe to my channel and you can follow me on Instagram. Thanks for watching, and Until next time, happy travels!